Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 39 of the Illiana Stock Car Radio podcast.
Hey, we're at a Ryan Newman number.
Yeah, former Ryan Newman number.
Well, yeah.
You know,
he's driven several of them.
Yes, that's true. 12, 39, 6,
also,
31.
Episode 39.
39.
We're getting old.
Yeah, quickly. Rather quickly. We're almost getting ready to break 40.
Yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks.
That's correct.
I'd love to announce that we have a big, huge guest for our 40th episode, but we don't know.
We'll figure that out in a week and 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone be on the lookout for that. Check your messages or, phone, Facebook, or otherwise.
Yeah, once we figure out who we're going to con into doing this.
Yes, well, it's hard to plan ahead because obviously you want to stay on top of current events.
Right.
Kind of like we're doing this weekend.
And then current events, then will be season championship everywhere.
Correct. Well, yeah, you got this season championship night this week at South Bend.
We do.
Yeah, a couple weeks from now, I think Grundy will be wrapping it up.
Night of features at Grundy.
Yeah, because that'd be Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
So we are getting down to it. It's about.
It's crunch time. If you ain't got your points by now, don't go whining about cheating.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we got. You had all season to make it happen. If
right.
you didn't, you didn't. So,
and I say that from experience, not naming names, but yeah, this is when you start to do the math and say, wait a minute, how about that one time last July? Yeah, no. Earn your points early.
Earn them early, earn them often. Yeah. That's right.
Well, we are near Chicago.
It's Grundy, so yeah, it's like vote early, vote often. So.
Yep.
All right, getting on that. So.
All right, so segue.
As always, Jeremy Banning, your host, Chris Goodacre.
Hi, everybody.
Goodacre Photography over here. If you hadn't figured that out already by 39 episodes.
Hashtag shamelessselfpromotion.com.
Yeah, well, you got to represent, right?
Exactly.
You like we just talked about off the air, you own a photography company.
I do.
And that would be it, Goodacre Photography.
Yep, goodacrephotography.com/whichever the hell track you want to go to this week.
Yeah, see, we got that.
What are you doing?
No, I got some feedback issue going on there. And
fire the producer.
I would fire the producer long ago, to be honest with you. So this week's show.
Or hire a producer.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on your perspective of what we should do.
Right.
Hire, fire. It's a personnel move either way. And probably a lateral move either way too. I don't really know.
We're switching seats.
Well, we could. Try it from the other end of the table, I guess.
That'd be so weird.
That would be weird, especially since the power strip and stuff's over here.
Right, I don't know how to use any of the knobs.
Well, I'd still be within knob reach.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So, this week's show. Let's let everybody know what we got going on.
What do we got going on this week?
This week's show. Well, our special guest this week is Art Fireball Fehrman. Founder. It is indeed. Former local racer in his own right.
It's sort of kind of current still too.
Yeah, he still kind of does some messing around with it. But also the founder of the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame. I know you took a trip up there earlier.
Yep, I was at the museum. We shot the inductees this year, and then we shot the induction banquet too.
So you've taken a trip up there, kind of seen the facilities. That
place is cool.
Is it?
Yeah. We're going to be doing a live episode from there at some point here.
We got Art on this week. They got a big event coming up there this weekend.
They do, this Sunday. Art's about to tell you everything there is to know about it.
Yeah, so we'll preview that event with them, kind of get a little background on the Hall of Fame, kind of how it came about, how everything works, what you can expect to see there if you were going to go, if you haven't made the trek up there. We'll talk about that with Art, and hopefully it'll be a lot of good information for you guys as well. So that being said, before we get into that interview with Art, a little housekeeping.
Oh,
just a little bit.
I swear I did the laundry this week.
Well, that's on you. I mean, I can't smell you.
I am wearing my laundry.
Quite literally, it's on you. Sponsors. We've got great partners.
The people that keep us on the air, or at least on the YouTubes,
on the interwebs. Yeah, one way or another. Damn it, race videos.
And he's got some news. You want to share that? Did you see that?
I did see that. He's going to be the presenting sponsor of
next year's Candyman race at Grundy.
That's why I'm like, I kind of had to scratch my head. That's the millennial thing to do is don't read the entire post. So
you got 3 words in. Oh, cool, and scrolled.
Pretty much, yeah, that's exactly it. I just skimmed over the top. But now that because in my head that was registering that's what he was sponsoring, but I'm like, wait, that was already happened. So next year's Candyman special, he will be the presenting sponsor of. So big stuff going on from there. Like James is a big supporter of local racing.
Yeah, he was feeling a little under the weather this weekend, I believe. Didn't make it out to South Bend. So James, I hope you're doing better, because I know the people at South Bend really, really, really want you to come back and do their videos. I mean, good God, they're asking for them before the races are over.
They're probably asking why you didn't do them.
I do still photography.
Still do still photography.
I still do still photography. But I don't have the equipment to do video yet. You have that here.
I do have that capability.
There you go.
But we're
Illiana Stock Car Radio.
That's true.
Even though we have a video show.
Video killed the radio star again. And we have faces for radio and all that good stuff. But if you want to check out James Dimmitt's race videos, go to Damn It Dimmitt Race Videos on Facebook and YouTube. You can see everything that he's posted, all the news and everything he's got going on over there. So go ahead and check him out. S4 Motorsports, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Keep up with all their happenings.
Yeah, speaking of, are you in the know?
In the know about what?
Well, Friday night he was having a little trouble with the car. I was kind of curious. I didn't get a chance to make it down there and talk to him because they left early.
Yep, I was not in the know, so apparently I have to...
you got to go work on the car, dude.
Make a couple calls or text messages.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll figure that out. So.
All right, because I know he had some issues in the heat, and then he came out at intermission and attempted to run a lap, and the car just locked up.
No bueno.
Yeah.
So I'll have to see what...
You should do your job there.
Well,
I know.
Phones work both ways. So.
What?
I want to thank Goodacre Photography.
Oh, hey, that's me.
That's you. I'll let you do your spiel.
You always make me do my spiel.
Well, it's easier because you're the guy.
I know, but I want you to do my spiel once, and I'll do your spiel once, and we'll just have a chaotic time.
I'll let you do my entire spiel if you'd like.
No, not really. That's why you're the host and I'm the color. Right. So yeah, we're on Facebook, Instagram at Goodacre Photography, which I probably should start posting more to Instagram. But anyway, by the time you're seeing this, because this will be posted Wednesday night, so it's right now Wednesday, even though it's currently Tuesday. Everything from Grundy and Shady Hill anyway will be posted by the time you're listening to this. So goodacrephotography.com/Grundy, goodacrephotography.com/Shady Hill. Go buy some pictures. If you don't buy them now, well, I mean, we'll probably still have them in 20 years, but buy them now while they're fresh in your memory.
Yeah.
So there was Mike Juice, one of our friends from Illiana. He said, if you don't get them now, all you got is memories.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
That's got to be like the quote of the week or something.
Well, maybe.
I
mean, we are about to do the Hall of Fame.
See, look
which
at you
is
go, like
all
tying
memories.
Everything, full circle, tying it all up.
I am going to take total credit for making that up on the spot.
Look at you go. He might put his thinking cap on today.
No, it's the same one I always wear.
Maybe that's when you do your best work, wearing that cap. So,
no, I wear the other one to the track. This is my home cap. I have separate hats.
I understand. I understand the hat game. International Women's Motorsports Association. Check them out on Facebook and IWMANation.com. I know they're recording their podcast or show tonight as well. So
eventually we got to maybe watch one of those or be on it or.
Well, yeah, we got to link up with Melinda and you kind of iron that out.
Maybe she can be one of our off-season guests.
It's possible. That's very possible.
Well, we're not deep in the trenches of stuff going on the racetrack.
Yeah, of stuff. But yeah, check them out. International Women's Motorsports Association, Facebook, IWMANation.com for all the stuff going on over there. And also Left Turn Graphics. If there's anything you need graphic-wise for the end of the season here.
Right, if you had your numbers torn off your car last weekend and need some quick replacements, Melissa will take care of you.
Yeah, they'll take care of you. Just go to Facebook, check out whatever they got for current specials. Also visit their souvenir booth at the South Bend Motor Speedway, and hey, just enjoy it.
Yeah,
get in there and get you some graphics. So, you ready to bring Art on?
I think we're ready.
All right. Well, we are going to step aside.
Not really. We're going to stay sitting.
Well, we're going to stay sitting. So, hopefully you guys enjoy the interview with Art Fehrman from the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame. And
that was hard to say, wasn't it?
That was. It's the tongue-tied thing.
Well, I mean, we've been saying Illiana for our entire lives. So.
I know, and then getting to Illinois, getting that part out was kind of tough. So, if you haven't figured it out already, you can subscribe to this podcast on Podbean or iTunes, YouTube, if you want the video portion of the show.
Which, I mean, everybody does, right? Because we're fun.
Yeah.
We put on a good show. We got a cool picture to look at behind us.
That's about it. If you don't like looking at us, you can at least look at the picture.
Yeah.
But
that we're sitting in front of.
Yeah. So go check us out there. Also, Facebook, Instagram, we're out there on the socials as well. So be sure to like us, follow us, just so you guys can keep tab of everything we got going on. So hope you all enjoy the interview, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Let's not say flip.
Welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me on tonight.
So I obviously want to kind of talk to you a little bit and get some information about the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So they got some events coming up this weekend we want to learn about. But I think the first thing that I want to know and I guess know more about, kind of got a little bit of background just doing a little web research. Kind of tell us about how the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame came about.
Well, first of all, I've been around racing all my life. My dad raced, was a champion. I ran dirt for 25 years, and after I sort of semi-retired, I started a vintage series, and it was actually because I wanted to race again, and I ran that for 9 years. And one of my members in that vintage series was from Wisconsin, and he invited my wife up to their induction ceremony, and that's where it all started. Pat Heaney, after the ceremony was over, he said, you really need to go home and start a Hall of Fame, all the deserving drivers in Illinois. And he goes, just think about all the deserving drivers. And anyway, that planted the seed, and I came home, and a couple weeks later, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I approached Stan Kolazinski, and a good friend of mine, race historian, photographer. He was a track announcer, and I ran it past him, and next thing I know, he was on board. So we had a meeting, and I decided, okay, I couldn't do this without Stan, but he said he would do it, and I needed a car builder. I wanted a NASCAR champion from the area, and that's how I we had a meeting, and at that point, nobody was board of directors. We were just talking about it. So that's really how it got started, and it's just one thing led to the next, and we got Wayne Lensing was in that meeting, and Wayne Lensing, Herb Shannon, he was a champion from the South, and Jerry Guiley, who was a NASCAR champion at the Rockford Speedway, and that's who was in our very first meeting.
Right, you talked kind of about the board of directors you guys came up with, and I know several of the main names you mentioned are on the board of directors. Kind of go over the board of directors, who's on the board, kind of how you selected them. You kind of briefly touched on that, and really kind of what the role of the board of directors there is.
Okay, so starting out with Stan, as I mentioned, he was a great historian about the Chicagoland area and photographer and an announcer, and Jerry Guiley, he introduced me to Wayne Lensing, and Wayne Lensing was in that meeting because he was a car builder. That's what I needed, somebody that was involved in all the oval track racing, and so I laid it out. I said to everybody who was in that room, I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have nominees, and we're going to have a couple drivers each year. And Stan said, that all sounds great. But he said, right in that meeting, he says, where are you going to get the money? How are you going to do this? And I said, well, I thought of that. We're going to sell memberships. We're going to sell $25, $30 memberships, and them members get to vote, nominate who goes into the Hall of Fame. And he goes, okay, that sounds good. He goes, but where are you going to put it? You have no place to put it. And I said, well, I didn't think of that yet. I just was thinking of getting this off the ground.
One step at a time, right?
Yeah, and at the other end of that meeting table, Wayne Lensing raised his hand, and he goes, Well, he says, if you do everything you say you're going to do, he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I own the Historic Auto Museum in Roscoe, Illinois. Now, I didn't even know that. I'd never even been there. And he said, if you're really serious with this, I'll donate a whole room, and you can have the Stock Car Hall of Fame right there. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't know he owned that. And so that's where it started. And today it just speaking of Wayne, okay, he provides a huge room in the middle of his museum. He supplies. He's got a full-time graphics guy that helps us with posters that we do for different displays. And then most of all, as we got bigger, after the first couple of years, he provides a website, which is a huge marketing tool for us, today. And so then I have a couple other board of directors, Jerry Clark and Earl Clement. I call them my road crew. I do, because I run the Hall of Fame from my home in Florida. Mm-hmm. And I come home for the summer, and we travel around. And with the help of them two guys, their role is they travel around with me to all the different short tracks, and we do a combination of two things. I'll just give you a quick example. Ed Hoffman, he made it in this year. We went to Grundy County, and we had an Ed Hoffman night where we celebrated Ed's induction. That was one of his home tracks. And Jerry and Earl helped me with the booth. I bring a show car, and we have a booth. And last Saturday we were at Sycamore Speedway. Bob Kelly made it into Hall of Fame, and it just goes on and on. A year ago, we were down in Macon Speedway to honor Dick Taylor, and so that's some of the things that those guys help me out with. And of course, our big event. We have two events each year. We have the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and each board of director has their own section. Like, I'm in charge of Midwest region. Mm-hmm. Jerry does the Northwest region, and Stan takes care of Northeast, because that was the area that he per se grew up in, and right. and so each board of director does. I mean, I couldn't do this by myself, obviously, and then the other board of director, very important, is my wife Pat.
Probably the most important one, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, because when you purchase a membership, we have quarterly newsletters, and it lets every member. Right now, we have 270 members, and the newsletters go out, and she puts all that together with colored pictures and bios. And now the next newsletter that's going to go out in November is our 2020 nominees, and each nominee, there's eight there's 8 people that are going to be inducted. There's 3 nominees in each region, so there's a bio on each one of them. She puts all that together. She just does a wonderful job. And then we have our sponsors, and every member in the back is on the back of the newsletter. Every member is listed with their hometown, give them a little credit. And it's just, it's amazing how far we've come. We've just completed our 8th induction ceremony in March. So when will the 2020 nominees be announced? So you have that voting process in November with the newsletters. When do you guys plan on announce the 2020 nominees? Well, that'll be this coming Sunday at our annual Stock Car Festival at the museum, and we just used to call it the Hall of Fame Day, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and all my friends and people I don't even know, when's the festival? So that's what we call it now, because that's the day that I will introduce our new nominees for this year, or for 2020. Sure. So,
well, you mentioned it, and kind of just segue to the next topic. That a big event you guys coming up there this weekend. What all does that day entail, and what if someone wants to travel up there, what are they going to see? Just kind of tell us about the day.
Okay, the day starts. It's from 12 noon to 4 p.m. And we have outside. We have a huge stock car display. It's just an assortment of. It's not just stock cars. Mostly stock cars, tribute cars, original cars. But there's a few, like Bob Boyce this year. He's bringing AJ Foyt's original number 14 Indy car for display, and just using that as an example. But that's the biggest thing that we have going on outside is the outside display. Then about between 1:30 and 2 o'clock, we set up chairs. I set them up the night before. We clear out the lobby, and we have interviews. And we interview past inductees. Our special guest this year, our Grand Marshal for our parade, is Dave Watson, short track, very famous short track asphalt racer from back in the day. Dave will be there signing autographs and getting interviewed. We're going to interview Don Walvogel. He won his very first race at Illiana Speedway in 1951. And so he's going to be there, and just a lot of interviews. And then at about 2:45, we'll go back in the Hall of Fame room, and every year I do a brick dedication. We have a Wall of Fame bricks that it's a fundraiser that we sell, and I do the bricks that we put on there up for this year. I'll do a brick dedication. Everybody's welcome to be back there, and the families are there, and it's just it's a good thing. My most favorite part of the whole day is at 3:30 we fire up all the cars, all the race cars that are out in the parking lot. And the Grand Marshal, which Dave Watson will lead the parade, and we have a legend parade. Everybody empties out of the museum and gets on both sides of the street. We go all the way down to 251, and we turn around and we come back. And then I invite 6 vintage cars, and we line them up right in front of the museum, and I introduce the drivers. And former Hall of Fame flagman Jumpin' Jack Hyman will flag the event. We have a 12-lap left-hander legend race, a real race right across the street.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's always exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then right after the interview, well, at 3:15, we have prizes and awards. We have trophies for the race car that traveled the farthest. And actually, last year, Keith Simmons from Iowa, he brought in a 64 Ford original car, and he won the award for who traveled the farthest. So it'll be interesting to see who beats him this year. So, yeah. So we'll.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to there this upcoming weekend there.
Yeah, it's like I said, we're really happy. It's really it gets bigger and bigger each year. So,
which is definitely great to see. Now, you guys partake in several other events throughout the year. I know one that I kind of saw firsthand is you guys had a Fred Lorenzen tribute display this year at Chicagoland Speedway. Even was able to present Fred with the 2019 Distinguished Driver Award. Kind of talk about that event, because that's, like I said, that's one that I kind of saw and stood out to me. So kind of talk about that event and how that came to be and just how that went.
Well, Fred Lorenzen was one of the first inductees in 2012 in our inaugural year. And so I've gotten to know the family really well. And in February, Fred's daughter, Amanda, called me. And NASCAR, they have the Living Legends Awards each year. So it was the 27th annual. And she could not make that event, and she asked me if I would accept the award on behalf of Fred and his family. And so I did. I went over there to Daytona. This was the Wednesday night before the Daytona 500, and I was humbled to be the one to actually go up there and accept it on behalf of the family. Mm-hmm. So the plan was, after that was all over with, that I was going to bring it to the Oak Brook where Fred's in assisted living. And at the last minute, Fred was doing really well, and Amanda flew in from California, and she called me, and she said, my dad's doing really well. He's going to be the guest. at the drivers' meeting at Chicagoland, and I said, "Oh man, that's wonderful." So that's what we did. Right after that drivers' meeting, she brought Fred in a van up to the booth, and he was able to get out of the, in the wheelchair. He was over. We got him next to the 1965 Ford Fred Lorenzen car, and I got to present the award to him. And it was wonderful. Now, the story behind that also is, you're talking to the guy. When I was in 8th grade, 1964, I was the guy that was sitting on the couch cheering for Fred when he was winning all them races, the Daytona, Atlanta. And that's back in the day when TV was 10 minutes in the beginning and 10 minutes or 5 minutes at the end when they showed, that was the wild world of sports, if you kind of remember that. And so I was, when my dad retired from driving, he became the flagman, but then my mom and I used to root for Fred Lorenzen. So it just was a true honor for me, And speaking of Fred, we have 64 individual displays that I'm very proud of, and a lot of neat, car parts and just you name it, and we have it. But Fred Lorenzen, I have his entire career except for about 4 trophies in the museum.
Wow.
And it's like he was the champion at Soldier Field, the champion at O'Hare Stadium, USAC champion, Meadowdale, Trenton, New Jersey. I have all them trophies on display, and we have them all marked too. So it's really impressive. And I don't want to brag about that. I'm just proud. I'm so proud of it, And so it's just a wonderful thing. And one of the few of the other things I'd like to mention, Bill Lutz. He back in the day, he was a champion. Same thing, O'Hare Stadium, wherever he went, he ran really good. But 1957, he drove for Lee Petty. And just 3 years ago, Bill Lutz was inducted into our Hall of Fame. And his wife, Jeannie, these trophies are on loan. It's a pewter Hemi engine. And on Petty's 50th anniversary in motorsports, they presented every driver that ever drove for Petty Enterprises one of these Hemi pewter engines. Wow. And it is really something to see.
Yeah,
it's priceless. And then on the tag, every driver's name is engraved on there. So it's just really impressive. I mean, any type of person, racing person that goes through our room, and everything is all in order of the years, 2012, 13, 14, they're all together. And it's just, there's so many significant things in that. In there, and that goes along with the historic auto museum. Any age person could go in there. It's not just an auto museum. He has movies. He's got space shuttle stuff, drag racing, all kinds of stuff.
Right, and Chris, you've been there, so you can kind of attest to that.
I was just in awe of everything that Wayne's got in that museum.
Oh, yeah. He's got one whole section. It's all music. Country Western fan could go in there. I mean, you name it, he's got it. My grandkids love that. He's got one room. It's all like stuffed real animals. They love that.
He's got a Batmobile.
yeah, it's just crazy, And but it's just. We're really happy. I mean, it's just the progress that we've made just in the few, the 8 years. We just completed our 8th year, and so it's really cool,
Right. Now, I know you kind of gotta try to be a little, partial, but do you have like a favorite display?
Well, I had your notes here, and I knew you were going to ask me that. I was trying to think that, and some of these guys, I grew up around them. I mean, there's just so many different Rich Clement, he made it in the Hall of Fame in 2013. I have the wheel patent. He was champion race car driver, and that's how he made it in. But he also became a millionaire. The Clement wheels. He sold wheels to Richard Petty, Bobby Allison. I mean, everybody used Clement wheels. And one of the things that I do when we find out, and I want to mention that the voting is in December. We find out the first week in January. And once we find out who's going into Hall of Fame, I go around and I collect memorabilia, trophies, car parts, whatever, when I went to Richie's shop, he goes, I thought maybe you'd like to take this with you. It was the patent. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that made me a millionaire right there.
Yeah, I bet.
And there's so many things. Roy Martinelli, he was a many-time champion in the Chicago area. We got part of his hood off of his championship car in his display case, and it just goes on and on. Bill Koenig was a famous car builder from back in the day, and when he made it in, I went over and he gave me this gauge, a homemade gauge that he made for rating springs and corners, and it's just the best story I have is I went to Eddie Jazz's house, Whitey Gherkin, again, famous at Illiana, Grundy, all over the place. He run USAC, NASCAR. When Whitey Gherkin made it in, Eddie Jazz, his dad owned a couple of Whitey's cars, and he brings out this, they had two cars, and Whitey always ran for points, brings out this metal removable plate, and if Whitey's car broke, they would take that plate and screw it on the roof of Eddie's car, because they would switch cars because he wanted to get every point. So I said, you say this all these years, it's just amazing what comes out of closets and attics.
From my experience, racers don't throw anything away.
Yeah, I'm looking at half of the front end of your street stock sitting over there across the basement.
That's true. And I got
there you go.
Door panels sitting in the garage. Yeah, racers don't throw anything away.
Yeah, we have, and I'll give some short tours a day. It's a pretty busy day when we have our festival, but I've given tours. I'm gladly do that, and for families and special occasions. But one of my favorites, when I go around the room, Tom Jones. And inside Tom Jones, his biggest victory was he won the Pennsylvania 400 ASA race, biggest race of his career. He won hundreds of features around the Chicagoland area. The Zero Hero, and I always like to show this inside his thing. Is he won so many features that Revell Car Kit Company made a 3-in-1 kit of Tom Jones's race car, and I got that. I have one of them in his display, and I always like to brag on him. He's a great guy. And, during my career, I was a dirt guy, and Tom was an asphalt guy. I used to read about him every weekend in Midwest Racing paper, but I never met him. And now that he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I went over and I got some of his trophies and that, and just the different things that I do. We honored him at Grundy when he was inducted. We've become close friends. And I just cherish them friendships, because he was my big hero. Ed Hoffman too. I always wanted, I started my career in 73 in late models, and Ed Hoffman was winning everything, and man, I wanted to be like Ed Hoffman, and I didn't get to meet him, but dealing with his family, I got to present to his granddaughter last Friday. I think, Chris, you were there.
I was there.
And it's just, one of the things people always ask me, and if you ain't gonna ask me, I want to tell you. People go, why do you do all this? And I'll tell you what, the biggest reward that I get is seeing just the looks on all the grandkids and even some of the sons and daughters, because you know what? They've seen all the pictures, they heard all the stories, but they never really lived to see Grandpa or their dad honored, because they weren't around when they were racing.
Right.
And it's the grandkids especially. It's just their eyes just sparkle. And when some of these guys get inducted, it's just Jim Cosman, his grandkids were just hugging him, in the ceremony. It's just, since then we lost them, and that's the thrill I get,
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine being able to preserve the history and tell those stories to people who, even family members, like you said, that they just don't know, just to give them that little extra piece, that little extra information. Yeah, I can imagine that's probably very rewarding.
Yeah, this past year, Larry Middleton made it in the year before, and just all his grandkids around him, and that it just was wonderful, and I really want to thank Tiber Machine is one of our major sponsors to help us do what we do, and of course Wayne Lensing. We couldn't do it without Wayne, and all the guys on the board of directors. They really do a good job. This past weekend, Earl and Jerry were down at the Springfield Mile for the ARCA race, and they had a nice booth like they always do, and I just want to thank everybody that puts all the effort, and of course Stan. If Stan wouldn't have went with me on that, we wouldn't have been doing this.
Yeah, he's definitely a wealth of knowledge.
Oh yeah, it's just and we laugh about that now because. And I enjoy telling the story because we were at a Christmas party, and I said, Stan, come here, I need to talk to you. I said, I got this idea for this Hall of Fame. How about helping me out? And you know what he said? He goes, are you crazy? he goes, you realize what I'm doing? He goes, I'm working a full-time job. I'm working on my son Jack's Illiana car. He says, I'm doing my website. I write all the articles, and I'm doing my pictures. He goes, I don't have time for that. And so that was at 7:00, and at 11:00 when we were leaving the party, and he walked over and he goes, hey, he says, I got some ideas for the Hall of Fame. And the rest, fellas, is history. I mean, I just can't say enough about how much, and everybody, because it takes a whole team effort to do it. And it's just, we're having a ball, and I'm sure glad you guys are involved, and it takes everybody.
Yep, it takes community, and definitely what you guys are doing, preserving history and passing on that information is definitely, I know, greatly appreciated throughout the local racing community. Well, Art, I think that's all I got for you this evening, and definitely want to thank you for your time and all the information that you were able to provide us.
Well, we sure want to thank you again for having us on tonight, and I just want to tell everybody you're welcome to come out to our festival, and if you can't make it out to our festival this Sunday, you can go on our website and you can catch up on all the latest news. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook site. I do a lot of press releases, and so just come out and enjoy it, because we sure enjoy having you guys help us out with this.
Awesome. Well, Art, we look forward to talking to you again, and maybe getting back up to the Hall of Fame here. I know Chris is, he'll go back, and it maybe be my first time out there at some point. But either way,
I'm dragging you out there.
Yeah. But either way, we definitely look forward to catching up with you again.
Okay. Thanks again for tonight. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.